How you doing? Should be all good and ready to go. Okay. Today's live stream is about there's no cheat codes for getting rid of the alcohol. Cheat code is I heard somebody saying it to me recently about, they were talking about heroin, and the way that the heroin was a cheat code for them in their lives, that they used it to get a buzz or to find some places in their lives. I've heard people talking about it in the past in terms of taking LSD or mushrooms or stuff like that. Hold on. Perfect. As a cheat code, it's a way of getting into the deepest parts of your brain and pushing yourself to a different level. I've taken mushrooms and I've taken LSD, I've taken all sorts of stuff, and it's a cheat code for getting out of life for me. Alcohol is a cheat code. I used to use it to push myself forwards into a state of mind that I didn't want to think about stuff. If I want to solve problems, you just take the alcohol, you take the drug, you put yourself into a position where you don't have to think about these things anymore. But it's one of the problems about a cheat code is that it doesn't work. It's a shortcut. It might work in a game, but it doesn't work in real life. I think anything like this, any search for a magic pill, is only ever going to bring you into a place where you're going to get into disappointment at the least, and big trouble, down the line. With one of we're talking about that in one of our sessions earlier about the when you really start to move into this and you're drinking at that, you start drinking, the damage isn't that great, and you get over it very quickly because you're young, your body is young, you're capable of dealing with all the crap that is thrown your way because of alcohol. There's a lot of stuff when you start drinking first, when you first put alcohol inside your body, which is your body working, and it's your body is designed to create a certain amount of chaos in your life, to create a certain amount of negativity. I remember the room spinning around was one of the worst things, when you were that drunk where you couldn't keep everything still. I hated that. I hated the vomiting. I hated, all of the nasty times of alcohol. I remember the first time I drank a lot of spirits, and the first few times I ever did it, because I was never into spirits. I never liked the taste of them, luckily enough. But the first few times I did it, and so much vomit, so much, I'm surprised why I ever carried on with it. But I think that's the experience of a lot of people, and we have this cultural attitude which tells us it's a good thing. It's the mark of being a man when you can overcome these things. It's the mark of being stupid because you're not listening to you're not listening to sense. You're not listening to your own body. Your own body is telling you, don't put this shit inside your body. If you were drunk and if you got the same feeling from eating some plant that you got from the worst parts of alcohol, that vomiting and that room spinning around, you'd probably think you were dying. It's a weird one. The whole thing about quitting drinking alcohol is that it's simple enough to stop, right? We talked about this last week, that it's a simple process. It's a simple decision to not put the alcohol into your body anymore. But after that, keeping it out of your body, changing your life so that you don't want to drink anymore, that's tough. It's tough going. It's hard work. There's a certain you have to make a lot of changes happen in order for you to move from the person that you are from that drinker, and to go from that drinker's mind into the person that you want to be. And there's a lot of stuff that you've got to kill off in order to get there. A lot of parts of your old self. I remember listening to a guy years ago, and he was talking about, in order to move forwards in life, you've got to kill the youngster, kill the boy inside of you. As a man, if you want to grow up to be a man, you've got to kill the boy inside of you. You can't let that survive, because it's going to hold you back. You know, I'm not talking about killing the fun part of yourself, but it's to have it in perspective, so that being a man is the first aim. And I'm talking about being a man by being responsible and, being that old-fashioned sort of a guy who is looking after his family, who is going out to work and doing his best. What my dad was. I mean, nowadays it seems to be, I don't know, it seems to be, there doesn't seem to be that same drive in people. I think people are more confused nowadays than anything else. But anyway, it takes a lot of changes to get to where you want to go. If you want to live the life where you're content, live the life where you're happy living, it takes a lot of work. Most of the changes that you've got to make are mental changes. You've got to change some of the frameworks that you're looking at life with. Get rid of the rose-tinted glasses and start looking at life as it really is. Sometimes that's difficult because we've put so many different filters in the way of life. It's like we've photoshopped life to a certain degree. And a lot of that's to do with alcohol. A lot of that's to do with not the alcohol itself, but the idea that you're allowing your life to be manhandled in a certain way, so that you don't have to deal with the complexities of life, with the big negatives in life. But the problem is that when you don't deal with those negatives in life, they tend to grow. That's what repression is all about: repressing feelings, repressing things that you don't want to deal with. But the problem is that when you repress things that you don't want to deal with and you push them down, they get weaker. They make you weaker. You don't get stronger through it. That's a big problem, because a lot of people say, well, yeah, I'll do it in a year's time when I'm stronger. But who's going to make that person stronger? You're the only one that can do that. You're the only one that can push yourself through into that strength, to be that different person. And when you're poisoning yourself and making yourself weaker through that, and pushing down problems and repressing emotions, who's gonna do the work for you? It's just a cop out for most of the time. We're doing these live streams. If anyone is a member and they want to ask a question, then you can leave a question down below. I'll leave it till the end. If anyone's got any questions, then we can do those. If not, we'll see you next week. Look, we did a video a while ago about the magic pill, and that a lot of people think that there are tickets to happiness out there. And I suppose it's the same thing as looking for the cheat codes in life, looking for those little shortcuts. Excuse me. And I was talking in this other video about that the only real magic pill in this life is discomfort. It's taking on board that if you're going to make some big changes in your life, you have to allow yourself to feel discomfort, to go through this discomfort. Because if you do, and you get used to that, and you like it, you start to understand it, and to like the process, to understand that the discomfort is there to let you know that you're on the right track, if you know what I mean, right? I'm not talking about discomfort just for the sake of discomfort, beating yourself up or anything like that. No, I'm talking about it being a planned discomfort, that you've got an aim at the end of it. You've got a plan that you want to aim towards, and you've got something that is You've got some kind of an idea how you're going to get there, and that you know that in order to get to that space, you've got to walk through a certain door and take a certain path that is going to be uncomfortable for you for a while. But most people don't want to do that because they're happy enough to live in their comfort zone, to live in a space that doesn't offer them any pain or any challenge. Challenge and pain, they both go together. And the thing about the pain and pleasure thing is most people are motivated by the pain. So when the pain gets enough, then they move and they decide that they need to go forwards and they need to make changes, or they need to do this or that or the other, whatever the fuck it is, and they make the change, or they make a half-hearted effort at the change, half-arsed as we used to say in Ireland, effort at change. And it doesn't really take you anywhere, like moderation is a half-arsed effort at making a change, because as soon as the pain disappears, then the moderation fails. You go back to the way you were before, because there's no need to move forward anymore. If pain is your only motivational force, if pain is the only thing that's pushing you forwards, then once the pain is gone, what's to stop you from going back? And most people think along those lines. They think along the lines of, well, I'm doing this now and I'm heading in the right direction, and I'm telling myself all these good things about where I'm going to be, but at the end of the day, it's the stick that's making them move forwards. But as soon as the stick stops striking, then all the other ideas about where they want to be, they start realizing, well, it's going to take hard work to get there, and they start thinking about the levels of hard work that they're going to have to push them through push themselves through in order to get to that next level, or to the next level, or to the next level after that. And it's not worth it to them, because they have an easy way out, and that's to go back to the alcohol and forget about the whole thing. And even then, at the end of the day, they know that the moderation is going to happen again, because the pain's going to happen again. But they're quite happy to deal with that, But the problem is that the older you get, the more sensitive your body gets, the more screwed up your mind gets with alcohol or any other drug, the more difficult it becomes. The quicker those iterations of pain come around, and the worse the pain gets. Because, in the beginning, you might only be dealing with physical pain, that you're getting hangovers and you just can't deal with the hangovers, or something might have happened in your life. You might have the pain of being, maybe you're sacked from a job, or you've lost a partner, or something like that, But eventually, you start getting real pain in the sense of, you're getting pain in your liver or something like that, which is what I was getting. And that's something that you can't ignore. So you can stop it for a while, but it will come back if you start drinking, and it will come back worse and worse, and eventually you won't be able to get rid of it. So the pain won't disappear. And then you've got the psychological pain on top of that, knowing that it was you that did it. And everything else there, we talk about this a lot with it's your choice whether or not you're going to take different routes down in life. And, whether you go down the route of continuing to drink, or whether you stop drinking alcohol, it's completely up to you. But one takes a lot of hard work and the other one doesn't. So, the discomfort of yourself that you go through when you stop drinking alcohol, it will diminish. It's like moving into a new house, and you get used to being in the new house and everything about you. It takes time, but eventually you learn how to do it. You learn how to deal with it, and you get on with it. I think the more you want to change in this life, the more you want to push yourself. When you stop drinking, I think you have a choice of, most people, when they stop, they think that's the end of the story. And, for some people, that's all they want to do is just to get rid of that. They're sick of it. They don't want to do it anymore. But there's other people who genuinely want to make the most out of their lives. And that's when the hard work starts. But, you have to always look at this from the perspective of Hard work compared to what? You know, going through life and going through that continuous hard work that it takes to continuously pour this shit inside your body and deal with all that. And you're not only, it's like dealing with a lie. You tell one lie and you've got to deal with the consequences of that. You've got to remember the lie for a start, and then you've got to it's like a vicious cycle. The more lies you tell, the more you've got to remember, and the more you're juggling balls. Same thing with this. The more delusion you tell yourself, the more the further down the hole you go, and the harder it is to come back out of it again. So it's an easier thing in the long run to stop the alcohol, to get a clear head, to know that you're stopping the damage, to stop the conflict within yourself, and then to move forwards and to put in the hard work, knowing that it's bringing you somewhere, instead of what kind of a life. All I can go on, I can judge on a lot of other people's lives now that I've been dealing with it for a long time. But in the beginning, and obviously I can only speak about my own life from the perspective of, this is the only life that I know intimately, from the perspective of stopping drinking alcohol, what it was like after I stopped, and what happened before. And it's just like a different person. It's a different life. I look back on that first day back in 2013, January the 7th or 8th or something. Go back and look at my first video on YouTube, and you see this fat bloke who is a mess coming out of it, but it's still a mess. It's still somebody who just looks lost, looks hopeful, because I'm a week off the alcohol, just under a week, 6 days I think I was. But everything about me was just, I recognize it, but it's just, it's not me, I've changed so much. But at the same time, it's somebody that I look back to and I think, I have great gratitude for that bloke, because he was the one that made the decision. He was the one that went through the discomfort and pushed to, I remember watching a few of my earlier videos, and just the earlier thoughts of something happened in my life, and there was one earlier video where I was talking about a bill that had come in that was more than expected, and it was probably an electricity bill that was an extra €50 or something like that. I can't remember what the bill was. I didn't say in the video, but that it nearly sent me back to having a drink again. This was maybe 2-3 weeks after I'd stopped. So when I watch those earlier videos, I can see that little journey. I don't watch them often, but every so often I pull one out just to see what I was saying. And it's just a weird thing to witness yourself. But I always think, where would I be now, 9 years later, if I hadn't have stopped? I probably would be pushing up the daisies. That's where I would be, if I'm being honest. But it's just one of those things. At the end of the day, there's no magic pills. If you want a change to happen in your life, you've got to make the change happen yourself, because nobody cares enough about you as you do about yourself. Nobody can give you that. Nobody can push you through the necessary, the necessary steps that you need to take. Nobody can stop you from lifting that glass up to your mouth if you're determined to do it or not do it. Going back to what Gandhi said, that if you want to see a change in the world, then you've got to be that change. It's the same thing in your life. If you want to see a change in your life, you've got to be that change. You've got to make that change happen. It's not going to happen by itself. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of execution of the plans in order to make them happen. It takes a lot of dealing with ups and downs of not only being successful, but being disappointed as well, because life is not going to give you, it's not going to, just because you stop drinking alcohol and you've got this one thing out of your life, life is not going to sail by like like a boat full of roses. It ain't going to happen like that. You know, you're on a big roller coaster then, but there's going to be some big ups as well as some downs. And you're more likely in the long term to iron out the ups and downs and be much more contented in the long term. And that's what you're aiming at, you know, an upward trajectory, but much more flatter. You're still going to get some failures in life, you know, that's about life. That's about just the way it is about, it's the product of learning. You know, failures are just stepping stones to get into the place that you want to be. But look, it's patience and perseverance are the two things. We teach this thing called the 4 Ps, which are perseverance, perspective, patience, and positivity. And perseverance is that drive that pushes you forwards. It's the drive that my dad used to watch this movie years ago when we first got a video recorder. It was one of the things that I'm not sure whether he bought the movie or it was something he recorded, probably recorded it off the TV, but it was the old movie with John Wayne called True Grit. And that's always been, for me, perseverance, that true grit, that determination to succeed, to overcome any hurdle. You know, if there's an obstacle in your way, you're going to climb over it, you're going to go around it, or you're going to smash through it. And that's just the fact. There's nothing that's going to stand in your way. Do you know? Perspective is that thing that maintains your focus. So you've got to focus on where you want to be. When you're stopping drinking alcohol, you've got to focus on that, and then you stop, and then you move on to something else. It's not the same thing. You know, stopping drinking alcohol is that leaving it behind. So you stop drinking alcohol on day one, and then you move on to what you're going to do, where you're going to go, who you want to be. That's your perspective. That's where you're supposed to be laser focused on. And it doesn't mean to say that that can't change, because it will. But it means that you have a target that you're aiming towards. I need some water. Perspective is the thing that keeps you on the right track. It's the thing that pushes you really to the limit, because you know where you're going to go and you've got this idea in your head about where you want to go. And that's the most exciting part, I think, for me, is having that plan and seeing the person that you can be, the potential. You know, potential is something that people say is fixed. I don't believe that. I think the more you work on yourself, the more you level up, your skill level up, the greater your potential becomes, because you're able to see further. I mean, your potential is only really as far as you can see, as far as you can understand. And it's only then, when you understand more and you're able to see a bit further, you understand more about yourself, you understand more about life in general, that you're able to see from a slightly different perspective, a slightly wider perspective, and then you can move on in life. I think it's a great gift. You know, maybe potential is there, and you know, you've got an ultimate potential that you could be. I don't know. I don't think I believe in that kind of stuff. But patience is the ability to keep your eye on the long game, to be able to see that end target and to say, well, I'm focused on that, but that's where I need to get. So although I know that we're going to have those ups and downs, we're going to have those little backwards and forwards in life, I'm going to have disappointments as well as happy moments. I'm going to have patience, because I know at the end of the day, getting to that best possible version of myself is worth it. You know, having the contentment in life is worth it. You know, being able to get to that spot where you're looking back on your life and you're happy about what you've done and what you've achieved, that's worth it. You know, because we're all going to get there. You know, what do you want to be? There and regretting everything and thinking, what the fuck did I do with my life? Or there and thinking, I'm happy I made that decision. That's what I get when I look back at that first video, is I'm happy that guy made that decision to stop. And that is worth its weight in gold. You know, make a video of yourself when you stop and just speak to to yourself as you are then, but even better, speak to your future self and just say to yourself, you know, this is who I used to be, and this is the person that's going to make those changes happen. So get on for the ride, you know what I mean? It's understanding that the whole journey is going to deliver you those ups and downs, as well as the sideways and the the bad times as well as the good times. And the positivity, for me, I'm thinking about positivity from the perspective of, you know, trying to maintain an overall general level of a positive attitude, not, you know, trying to walk around with a stupid smile on your face all the time. You know, that's, you know, looking at everything like there's no downsides to life. I'm talking about it looking at in general, as a general attitude that you weave through life with, that you're positive. You try to look on the positive side of things. You know, that's the thing that is going to fuel you throughout this journey. It's going to maintain your strength and your energy. It's going to maintain that drive to move you forwards, and it's to keep that momentum going. But, you know, if you take it back to what we started out with, and that there's no leveling up with this, you know, these are the things that in the beginning you need to develop. You know, you need to develop the perseverance, and the only way you do that is by persevering in life. You need to develop that perspective, because, you know, sometimes you've got that alcohol brain, you've got the drinker's brain, so you're thinking all on the level of yourself as a drinker, and it's very difficult to look outside of that. I drank for 30 years of my life, so being able to look forwards and to look beyond who, you know, to the person that I wanted to be was very difficult, because I didn't know what that person looked like. So even if you can only see a month down the road, you know, I'd been off the alcohol for 11 months, so I could see that far. I knew where I knew what my possibilities were from that perspective. But at the same time, you know, there's still a bit of a cloud over it, you know, in terms of where you were from the beginning looking forwards. So, you know, it all depends on, you know, from that beginning to have that reason why, to have a big enough reason why to push you forwards. And pain can be a big one at the beginning, you know, to give yourself enough of a general kick up the arse to get moving, to move forwards. But as I said, pain ain't going to last. You know, pain will stop unless you've got somebody consistently behind you causing you pain. And then, you know, you don't want that. You want to get rid of them people out of your life. But look, if you want the real impetus, the real push forwards, that real spark, then you develop that same thing. The motivation develops as you're moving forwards. Motivational bridging, we call it. You know, you're gradually moving into that next level, into the next level, into the next level. Like I said, your perspective opens up and you can see things from a different level. You know, once you see things from that level, then your why changes. You know, once you experience things, your life, yourself, your thinking, your you know, your emotions from the perspective of not drinking anymore, then it becomes a bit easier to see further ahead, and a bit easier to start to plan based on that and to see from that perspective. So yeah, it's like I said, if you want to see the world, if you want to see your world and your perspective, which is, you know, your reality is what you see, you know, you've got to work into it. So all right, I'm Kevin O'Hara for habitsv2.com. We help people to stop drinking alcohol and to get to that best possible version of themselves. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you again soon. Onwards and upwards.